Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Misty Moonbeam, who says, saw sexually explicit texts on husband's phone. Hi, I'm posting here because I don't know what else to do. I'm pretty sure my husband is cheating on me. He won't admit to it, but I don't think I'm imagining anything. He left his phone near me on the arm of the couch, and I saw some messages pop up from a person with a woman's name. A woman I've never heard of, and the messages were not innocent whatsoever. He seemingly realized he had left the phone there and quickly came back from the other room and grabbed it. I was nursing our daughter and our other children were nearby. Inside, I was exploding. All I could do was give him the dirtiest look, and he was like, "What?" I told him, "You know what?" He said I was paranoid. So I stopped talking to him for the rest of the evening. Once the kids were in bed and we went into our bedroom, and I closed the door and asked him what in the fuck those messages were about. He said he didn't know what I was talking about. I told him not to treat me like an idiot. I saw messages from a woman who clearly was not me talking about his cock. That's the word she used. Why would any other woman be using that word innocently in a text message to my husband? I asked to see his phone. Normally, I'm not like that, but I had to see the messages and whatever else he's hiding on his phone. Pictures, videos. He refused to let me see his phone. I told him that tells me all I need to know then. He said no, he's just not going to play this game with me. I'm now sleeping in another room for the night. For reference, I'm 35 and he's 42. We've been married for 8 years and we have 4 kids, all girls. Our oldest is 6 and our youngest is almost a year. I'm deeply in love with him. He seemed to be deeply in love with me. I feel as giddy and as excited to be with him now as I did when we first met. I feel safe with him, and this is the man I've always dreamed of. Despite being together for 10 years, I can't keep my hands off him, and he is the same with me. I'm attracted to him in every way. He's a great dad, totally engaged and involved, loving, patient, protective, fun. He's into all of this masculine stuff, but wow, he's the best girl dad, and is truly their hero in their eyes. He didn't know if he'd ever decided to pull the trigger on having a kid, but he says when he met me, that changed, and we decided to have one and see how it went. We enjoyed the experience so much we did it 3 more times. Despite saying we were done at 4, we've been talking about maybe 1 more. He has a job he's very committed to, a very good job that supports our family. I had a full-time career as well, but I became a stay-at-home mum when our 3rd baby was born. His job requires travel several times a year, sometimes for extended times. I've had a few friends ask if I ever worried about the time apart and what he was getting up to. I never worried. He's in constant communication with me. Calls home to speak to our kids every night, and nothing ever seemed odd. The one thing that I now feel was weird is there'd be an unfamiliar smell in his suitcase sometimes, sort of perfumed. The only thing I can figure is that he's been cheating on me when he's out of town. I don't see when he'd be doing it at other times. I don't know what to do now. He's probably deleting everything that was on his phone. I feel dizzy. I want to know every single detail about whatever it is he's been doing. I don't want to feel like an idiot that will just sit at home and remain the fool. This is my worst nightmare come true. I trusted him 110%. And we're starting the comments with Smushy Boo, who says a family member has this happened recently. Her husband constantly on the phone and being cagey with it. She just outright said, "If you're not showing me the contents of your phone is more important than our marriage, you may as well just leave." He never did show her the contents on his phone and they aren't together anymore. She had a lot going on in her life at the time and just said she didn't have the energy to deal with lies and secretiveness from her supposed life partner. She's a badass, and I hope you get your answers. Serial Killer says start your escape plan. Secure all important documents, passports and health cards. Stock up on Walmart and gas gift cards when you go grocery shopping every trip to build yourself something to fall back on. Take note of all finances so he doesn't drain accounts. Make sure you know all the financial data to protect yourself and kids. Eliwit says you saw what you saw and he had no interest in showing you what else was on there. He's not being trustworthy or faithful, and it doesn't sound like you're going to get him to tell you the truth. Is this behavior that you find acceptable in a partner? If not, I'll be thinking about consequences, and at minimum, kicking him out of the house. OP leaves their own comment in the same post as well and says, I should have known better. I knew my husband did his fair share of sleeping around before we were married, when he was in his 20s and early 30s. He was even engaged once before we met, and he admitted to me that the relationship fell apart because they both cheated on each other. But they were young and dumb, in his words. He seemed to be done with all of that when we met. He was forthcoming about it, didn't seem proud of some of the stuff he had done, and seemed mature and like he wasn't interested in sleeping around anymore. People that have known him for a long time, long before I ever met him, would make comments about how I tamed him. Maybe I should have been more cautious given this information, but he never gave me any reason to believe that he was interested in any of that anymore. He's never given any indication that he's not interested in me, even through 4 pregnancies in 7 years. If anything, it felt like he just loved me more and more. I felt like our loves were just growing and becoming deeper, and I never felt neglected by him in any way, so I never suspected anything could be going on. I still don't know exactly what's going on, and it's driving me crazy. I just know that I didn't imagine those texts. Based on what was said, it had to have been a physical thing. When somebody is saying they miss your cock, what else could they mean? So OP does update the post, and they said, I recently posted about seeing sexually explicit texts on my husband's phone. That's all I saw before he snatched the phone from where it was sitting. I wasn't going through his phone or snooping, it was just laying on the arm of the couch, and I glanced over when I saw messages pop up. I definitely did not expect to see anything like that. He tried to tell me I was being paranoid, that nothing was going on. Believe me, I tried desperately to think of any innocent reason I would have seen those texts pop up on his phone. It doesn't take long to realize there is no innocent explanation. Luckily, I followed some advice here and logged into his forgotten iPad. He rarely ever uses it. I saw the text that I had seen flash on his screen, and a lot more than just that. It seems like after she sent him a message about 2 months ago, he told her to not contact him again. He could have blocked her if he was serious about it, right? Eventually, he started talking to her, and their conversations have been going on pretty regularly since then, and they're almost entirely sexually explicit conversations. Where on earth did this lady come from? I doubt she randomly texted my husband's number by chance. I confronted him with undeniable proof that I'd seen messages, and he eventually admitted it's a woman he met while on a business trip, and that they were only together a few times, but then she started texting him. He slipped and said, normally I don't give them my... Then he realized what he was saying. Admitted to me that normally he doesn't give random women he hooks up with his phone number. He didn't say the full thing, but that's what he was about to say. He was flustered. He couldn't believe I was smart enough to look at the iPad, and that he hadn't thought about that. He still won't admit that there's been anyone more than this one woman. He says he's not in love with her, there's no feelings, it's just been flirting and sexting and he got carried away. I can't just pack my bags and leave. I have 4 little kids, so I told him to leave, at least for now. I'm disgusted. He begged to stay and to fix things, but I refused to talk to him. He's staying at a hotel right now. I almost can't function. I want to smash all of his belongings. 1 second I'm enraged and the next I'm sad and blaming myself. I know this sounds pathetic, but I don't want to be a single mum of 4 kids under 7. I don't want to be married to him right now either. And obviously the comments picked up on him slipping up his words there and saying, this probably isn't the first affair partner. You need to get STD checks and you need to get your ducks in a row. Get yourself a lawyer and get this sorted while you can. And, it's got to be incredibly hard to deal with, to find that out. And, for your children as well, to think about what they're going to go through in the upcoming days, months, years, possibly. And that's got to be a scary thought, isn't it? Having 4 children and being on your own to raise them. And I can only wish, OP, whatever comes your way, and I can only imagine how overwhelming it must feel right now. I wish you the very, very best in whatever path you take. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from Am I the Arsehole subreddit from Valleys, who says, would I be the arsehole for continuing to wear a swimsuit in a friend's hot tub? I'm currently spending the week visiting a couple that I've been friends with for many years now. I get on really well with both of them, and it's nice to catch up and spend some time in their part of the country. They have a nice house and recently added a private hot tub area at the back and said I was welcome to use it. It's got a small sauna, a hot tub, and an outdoor shower. It's all enclosed for privacy. They're fairly open about the fact that they use it naked. I know they've visited European spas where swimwear isn't allowed and stuff. They're not naturists, but they just prefer to not wear anything in spas. They've got some little jokey signs up in the spa area about being nude, and another about etiquette like showering before getting in the hot tub and sitting on a towel in the sauna, etc. But one of the etiquette rules said that swimwear was not allowed, and I ignored that. I get that's their thing, but it's not something I wanted to do, so I wore my swimsuit. I left it to dry with the towels, which they noticed, and asked if I'd worn it. I told them that I had, and they told me that it wasn't appropriate because they don't allow swimwear. For me, it just felt weird to get naked because it's just a preference, and anyway, no one was around when I used it, so I didn't feel the need to follow that particular rule. I followed all the others. I said I just don't want to be out there naked and have someone come along and see me. I said I'd do it if they promise not to also use it while I am, or I don't mind them being naked, but I'd rather have something on. They both said it's not a big deal to be naked in a spa, and that if I used it when they are out or working, then it's unlikely either of them will come out at the same time as me, but they won't promise to give me private use. They are saying as it's their house I should respect their rules and use it without my swimsuit, but they're basically saying I can't object if they come and join me while I'm naked. It wasn't a super heated argument, just a debate about the principle. They told me I shouldn't use it if I'm not willing to do so nude, and accept that they may also want to use it at the same time. Would I be the arsehole if I ignore them and just keep wearing my swimsuit when I use it? So people were asking OP questions, and OP replied with relevant information. So someone said, where are they from? OP says she is from the Netherlands and this is happening in Wales, in the UK. I said I'd be more comfortable if they let me use it privately at first, but she wouldn't agree to that if it was when they usually use it. I asked if I can wear a swimsuit with them at first, and she didn't agree to that either. Just said I could practice during the day while they're out, which seemed rude. Someone says, could it be for health and safety reasons? Ultimately, you're not entitled to use their spa, especially if you don't follow their rules. OP says this is a fair point, and others have mentioned that there is more to it than just a cultural preference. I don't want to be the arsehole here, and in fairness, I've had to use it myself the last 2 times I've used it when they weren't home. So I'll try it now without a swimsuit, and later I'll speak to them when they are home about why they have the rule. We didn't speak too much about why the first time, and more about the logistics of it. Now, I'm not sure if this is just a cultural thing. I know in the UK, you can go in a spa in your swimsuit, but I know from personal experience when the last company that I was with, we was going to Germany for our Christmas work outing, where folks from China, the folks from the US, and us, we all met in Frankfurt in Germany. We was going to the Christmas markets and was going to spend some time together. And there was talk about visiting like a spa in Germany. And I already had a bit of an inkling that it's sort of like a faux pas to wear swimsuits. And it's even, against the rules in some spas to wear a swimsuit. And I just thought, nah, that's not for me, especially with work colleagues. There's no way you're going to catch me butt bollock naked. And I got nothing against it. Absolutely fair play to you. If you enjoy going to a spa and, naked and you don't mind being naked and all that kind of stuff, that's more power to you, But you ain't going to catch me in the nip in a spa, no chance. But East Practice says, if I understand correctly, some people don't want swimsuits in their hot tubs because of water quality. Contaminants from your suit affect the water. Sunscreen, lotions, laundry soap, and anything from wherever you use it last gets in the water and causes them headaches. If that is the situation, then yes, you're the arsehole. I completely understand your discomfort and reasoning, but the easier answer is, just don't use their hot tub. SFX says, you're the arsehole. Everyone calling these people creepy need to chill. This is a thing, and they are not just trying to get you naked. At any Korean spa, for instance, it is common courtesy to rinse off before doing anything, and you cannot under any circumstances enter any of the hot tubs or cold plunge pools, saunas, etc. wearing a swimsuit or anything else. The staff will stop you. This is the case at many other gender-segregated spas as well. It's not just a cultural norm for Koreans. For reasons others have mentioned, it is less sanitary to wear clothing in hot tubs and pools, and unless you use a lot more chemicals, which is considered by some people to be unpleasant and less healthy. It's not your fault you're not accustomed to it, and you're not obligated to do it, but they're not being crazy or unreasonable. Ethan says, not the arsehole, I get their house, their rules, but I also think someone being more cautious is fine. Basically, go to the level of the first person's discomfort. They shouldn't insist you be naked. That is weird and invasive, particularly in the US, if that's what you are. There's no hygiene reason I know of where swimsuits would cause a problem. Happy to be enlightened if I'm wrong, of course. I do think that if you wanted to insist other people not be naked, you can't. You can opt not to join them, of course, but if the general attitude at the host place is nudity and you're not comfortable with that, that's on you to manage, but they don't get to insist you undress. Susie Q says, I wouldn't bother with the Am I the Arsehole post at all. I'd be leaving. There is no health or equipment maintenance reason to not wear a swimsuit. This is them being weird and pretentious, trying to emulate some European vibe that doesn't always align with social norms in other places. They don't get to demand nudity from you, not the arsehole. So OP first updates with a small update and says, I did use the spa again today when they were both at work but kept my swimsuit on. My friends are definitely not sexual predators, and it's kind of wild how many people jumped to that conclusion. But so many people said check the cameras, and I thought, you never know. Had a good look around and there's nothing, and pretty much no way to see into the spa either, so I wanted to clear that up. They came home from work and didn't say anything about it, and I didn't leave my suit out to dry, so they clearly have no idea I used it again while wearing it. She is Dutch, but she hasn't lived there in a while, so I was being a bit more stubborn because we're not in the Netherlands, and kinda wanted to make a point about the swimsuit, but I've seen plenty of comments about it being unhygienic and unsafe, which I hadn't considered before. I think perhaps on reflection I was being a bit defensive and stubborn. It's just a different culture. They're great people, and I wouldn't want to ruin a friendship, so we'll speak to them tomorrow. 6 days later, Opie updates again and says the post got way more attention than I was expecting, and some of the comments are wild, so I wanted to put an update to say how the rest of the week went. Firstly, they weren't trying to do anything sexual and there were no cameras. Before anyone asks, yes, I did check for the sake of being able to say that I have. There was nothing in my room, the bathroom, or outside by the spa. A Redditor sent me an article about it and a link to an app for detecting them, so I'm as sure as I can be that the place wasn't bugged. I, 28 female, have known them, 26 female, 29 male, for 7 years. She's from the Netherlands originally, and he used to live there, but we are currently in Wales. I've stayed with them before, but the spa is new since my last visit. As some of you have stated, I would be the arsehole if I kept using it and ignored their rules, so I tried it sand swimsuit while they were out at work, and that went fine. Obviously felt odd at first, but nothing too scary. I can see the appeal and reasons for going without. I spoke to 26 female that evening and we sat down so I could ask why they have the nudity rule, besides it not being a big deal to them. Not mentioning Reddit thanks to the hundreds of accusations against their character on here. She was very understanding, and I think we communicated a lot better than the first time it was discussed. She explained that the main reason they chose to spend money on it was so they could have somewhere here that they could use without swimwear. I understand that it isn't for everybody, but they brought it for them, not for anyone else. She said people here have plenty of options if they want to visit a spa in swimwear, and basically I don't have to use their stuff if I don't want to be naked. They had mainly 2 issues. 1. She felt it was rude the way I'd asked before to use it whenever I wanted, and that they would have to work around my schedule, which is apparently how I made it sound. I did apologize for the way I came across. 2. She also made a point that it was not appropriate that I suggested I stay clothed while her husband was naked in there. I said it caught me off guard as I wasn't expecting it to apply to guests. I just assumed it was that they wanted to be nude, but wouldn't expect me to be also. Apparently the spas they use in Netherlands require that everybody be naked to use the saunas and pools, etc. Even the changing rooms are mixed gender, and you just wear a dressing gown in the restaurant. Most will have a couple of swimwear days where the opposite applies, and swimwear is mandatory. So it's an all or nothing thing, which makes it fair for everyone. They just objected to me coming in with them, with a swimsuit on. She said it's better for you and the equipment to be naked, especially more hygienic and easier to maintain for them. She explained how important it is to use the shower before and when moving between the hot tub and sauna, as well as to dry off and sit on a towel when in the sauna. Just lots of info that I didn't really have any idea of before. They were happy to agree times that I could use it alone, but had assumed I understood that during the day when they were out was the time that they had suggested so I could have privacy. She said if I want to use it in the evenings that I could just check with them and agree separate times so no one intrudes on each other, and that they'd never have barged in without checking that I was either not there or that I was covered up if they thought I was using it nude. I then asked whether I could have worn one of my swimsuits if it was washed appropriately so as not to cause issues for them cleaning the hot tub, and she said that would be fine if I really didn't want to be naked. She didn't recommend wearing a swimsuit in the sauna but said I could go in wrapped in a towel if I wanted to be covered up. She said she didn't mind me joining her while she used it naked, but that I should just ask 29 male if he minded that because she would find it weird if one of his male friends wanted to come in when she was naked but insisted on being dressed. She suggested that they could put some swimwear in the wash so we can all use it together before I leave, if I really wasn't comfortable with the nudity, which was kind of her. I owned up to using it again wearing my swimsuit and we laughed it off. She just didn't get why I cared because they weren't even home. I did then say I tried again without and wouldn't mind trying it again with her. She and I went in together without swimsuits and she just kind of reassured me that I don't need to be self-conscious or anything and to take my time. And on the last night I built up the courage to go in with both of them. It was completely platonic before anyone asks. Scary at first but also exhilarating. I was definitely making a big effort to maintain eye contact, but 29 male was very respectful and I felt at ease with them in the end. I didn't forget that I was naked or anything, but after a little while I was just okay with it, which I wasn't expecting to happen so fast. So no big drama in the end, and while the thought of nudity in front of others still makes me feel uncomfortable, I'm very glad that I gave this a go. Thanks to everyone who offered their advice and support to this first time nude spa goer. And I think the comments after this one were a little bit mixed up, like some people still latching onto the insistence of, be naked or nothing. Other people saying that communication wins the day here. But what do you guys make of this situation? What would you do if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved. Truly, you're absolutely amazing. And hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.